the review for the Galapagos Island PowerPoint review, and I think it's pages 54 to 56 in your packet. So here we go. Let's go through this pretty quickly. Number one, it was a normal curve. Okay, so it told you that your mean was 17 and your standard deviation was 2.4, and then it says what proportion of observations. Remember, when you find probability, when you find proportion of observations, when you find percentage, you're not going to be done until you have used norm CDF. Okay, and then the X value it tells you is a um, lava lizard of 22. So you had to find the z-score first by doing x minus the mean over the standard deviation. That was 2.083. If you want to go that or higher, then that is your lower z-score out to positive 99, which makes 0.0186. So that answer is 1.86% of lava lizards are above 22 centimeters in length. All right, number two, this number right here, you had to subtract all the other ones from 1, so you added those up, and 2% is what was missing for the 6 iguanas. All right, so you got that 0.2. Now, when it says find the expected value of this probability, okay, so I don't have this in my calculator. Remember that you're going to go put this in L1 and L2. And so let me pause for a second and get that in there so I can show you real quickly what you're going to do. Okay, so I have these in my lists, and I'm going to go to Stat, over to Calc, one variable Stats, and I do not have Stat Wizard on. If you do, then you put in the first thing that says list, L1, and then if you do not have Stat Wizard, you put a comma, and then where it says frequency, you put second number 2 for L2. So I'm going to use list 1 with L2's frequency, and then that will give me my information. X bar is the mean of X, and then here is the standard deviation. So you can see then I did not have to go all through that computation to come up with 5.1 iguanas and a standard deviation of 0.943. All right, number 3 was a problem that just asked for exactly 5 fish out of the 8. So the formula is probability that x equals 8 or 5. 8 choose 5. Probability of success 0.73, and there are 5 of those. Probability of failure 0.27, and there are 3 of those. When you go and put this into your calculator, it's going to, of course, be under second vars. So here it is, second vars. Go to binomial PDF, and what you're going to put in is 8, 0.73, 5. And that is how you get 0.229. So there's 22.9% chance that the bird will catch exactly 5 out of the next 8 dives. Number 4, I really just worked it out because he does not catch a fish until the 3rd attempt. So the order is specifically defined. So you can just do no, not catching, times not catching, times catching. Now, if you choose to put this in your calculator, which you do not have to, you could do geometry PDF, because I'm just doing it in particular on the 3rd time only, and that 0.73 is to occur on the 3rd time. So that's what that would look like. That gives you 5.3% chance that the bird will not catch until the 3rd attempt. All right, next. Here we have overall probability of tourism, and so overall probability of tourism is this 45 out of 150, so 30% chance. Now, here, if a student lives on Isabella, what's the probability that the student specializes in tourism? So given that the student lives on Isabella, so that's out of all of the Isabella, 60, what's the probability that they are tourism? So that's 18 over 3, which is 0.3. So I have to make sure that you have got this test for independence down, this looks like this. Basically, the probability of tourism was, whatever the numbers were, it was 0.3. Probability of tourism, given that you came from Isabella, or you grew up on Isabella, born whatever, is also 0.3. So, here's what happens. Because those two are the same value, then the fact that this occurred, the fact that you're from Isabella, then the rate at which you chose tourism is the same as the rate of tourism choice overall. The fact that you're from Isabella, the tourism choice of tourism is the same as tourism overall. So there you go. So you have got to, and I'm not going to go as in depth on any of the other independent ones on this review, but you have got to get that check for independence down. All right, next, are living in Santa Cruz, specializing in science, independent. And so what you can do, same type of thing, is you go and you say, okay, well, I think I did probability of science, given that you are from Santa Cruz. Okay, and I want to see if the fact that you live in Santa Cruz changed the probability that you did science overall. So then you check each one of these individual ones. Did the probability of science change overall given that you lived in Santa Cruz? And so you can see my notes here on this page was 0.28 versus probability of science overall is 34%. So what happens is this. Overall, 34% chose science. But if you were from Santa Cruz, then that was 28%. So the fact that you are from Santa Cruz does what to the rate of science? It reduces the rate at which you choose science. Therefore, the fact that you're from Santa Cruz changed the rate. Therefore, they are not independent. All right, see, you're just adding them together. 51 plus 60 is 25 minus the overlap. And the students randomly selected what's probably a student studying science and living in Isabella. So that's the duplicate of right here out of the total. All right, next section. Number 6 is saying that I tell you, what happens is this little at least kind of can throw you off, okay? Don't let that little at least throw you off. The probability that they are having a tortoise so the probability of successfully having a tortoise in the zoo or whatever it is, American Zoo, is 0.4, okay? So out of 75, what's the probability that not more than 20? So here's what this is saying. The probability that X is less than or equal to 20 out of the 75. So here is your pattern. 75, choose 0, 0.4 to the 0, 0.6 to the 75, plus, plus the top one in your pattern, which is 75, choose 20, and 0.4 to the 20, 0.6 to the remaining portion, which would be 55. So here is how you put this in your calculator. You are accumulating the bottom section up to and including 20. So there's a 1.12% chance that no more than 20 zoos in America have at least one tortoise from Galapagos. I went over 7 in class. They're not independent because there's only 11 items, and in order to have all of them odd numbered, you're going down in value. So at first, there were 6 out of 11. You choose a turtle and you hold it back. Then there's 5 odds out of 10. You choose a turtle and you hold it back. Then there's 4 out of the 9 remaining turtles that are odd, and so on. And this is not binomial because the probabilities are not independent. The probability from one to the other are changing. Therefore, they are not independent. Okay, so now, number 8. I also went over this in class. This is conditional because you've got George, and he's going to be choosing, or we want to see the probability of him having offspring. So the way he could have offspring was 30% of the time he goes for Isabella, and then 25% success from that. Therefore, success with Isabella is 0.3 times 0.25. And add that to the other way he can be successful, and that's 20% of the time he goes for Fiona, but yet she has babies 40% of the time. So the 20% of the time for Fiona times the 40%, add that together, and that makes a 15.5% chance that George will have offspring. All right, number 9 is filling out a Venn diagram. Here is what the Venn diagram looks like, and I'll just leave that there. Again, part C says, given that the family fishes. So out of all of the fishing portion, so out of the 38 that are fishing, what portion of those are farming? And that is 20. So make sure you have got that given that stuff. That was on chapter 15 quiz, and those were weak. I had you omit 10, and then 11 is another normal model. The thing that is different with this is this top 20%. So what happens is, we've got ourselves a mean of 140, a standard deviation of 8. What's the cutoff value? So what is the x value? Well, when you have the x value, you need to find a z-score some other way, because x minus the mean over the standard deviation doesn't work since you don't have the x value. And in that case, remember, inverse norm of the area below, inverse norm of the area below, inverse norm of the area below is the z at that spot. Well, if you have the top 20%, then the area below is 80%. So inverse norm of the area below is 0.8416. So since your z-score is 0.8416, then you can now put that all in to the z-score formula to solve for x. And here's what that looks like. X minus the mean over the standard deviation is your 0.8416. Therefore, I think actually I have that number missing, so I don't know what that is, but you can solve that and find out what that x value is. So sorry about that. That's how you set that up. All right, so that's all of the Galapagos Island video.